All right, we are live.
Right, we are live. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening again from wherever you're logging in. Welcome to this third podcast in the Marquee series of Where Strategy Meets Execution, where myself and Aniket we sit down and discuss some real world problems that small and medium businesses in the manufacturing sector are facing, especially when it comes to robotics, automation, adoption of new digital techniques and tools. So, today we will be talking about why robotics projects fail in the SMB manufacturing sector. And we'll go through the data driven analysis of the problem statement, and then we'll also touch upon the framework for success. So, to start off, I am Shantanu Kelkar. I'm the founder at 1.6 Minute Business Consulting, having worked for close to 21 years in global strategy and marketing roles with companies like Honeywell, Emerson, Frost and Sullivan. I have now started as a principal consultant in my own firm, 1.6 Minute Business Consulting, where I focus on helping small and medium businesses navigate the challenges that they face in their operations in formulating and delivering on strategy. So I'm joined today by Aniket. Aniket,
Yeah.
if you could please.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this Future of Manufacturing podcast, where we will bring you actionable strategies and insights to stay ahead in a rapidly evolving world. I am Aniket. I'm a currently senior consultant in one company here in US. I'm ex Amazon and Cummins. 15 years experience in global supply chain. I worked in Amazon on a robotics implementation projects, drove some $9.6 million savings. In the current role, also I'm actually working on robotics automation of one line. I have Six Sigma and Six Sigma certification with me, and yeah, that I'm excited to be here and sharing this stage with Shantanu. Let's get started on the topic.
Right, and today's topic is something that's incredibly relevant for our audience. It's a daunting task for SMB manufacturers implementing robotics or any kind of digitization frameworks. So, quite a topical topic that we have today.
Yes, absolutely, Shantanu. And robotics is often seen as the future of manufacturing, but here is a paradox. While large manufacturers they are thriving with automation, SMBs, despite facing intense labor shortages and productivity pressures, they are struggling. They're struggling to adopt robotics effectively. And here is a
Mm,
shocking part. You can look at this number: 90% of those robotics projects in SMB, they fail, and that's the
mm,
data from the our research. We'll add all those in the appendix, but that's where that number is very staggering, and that's the
mm.
reason why we are here to discuss that, and we can go through the detailed analysis and also the solutions for you, to chime on.
Okay, great, great. No, that's indeed a staggering number. So let's do this. Let's start with a problem statement. What we have at hand. Why are SMBs struggling so much with robotics adoption? I think in today's industry 4.0 revolution, or now it's even past that. It's We are sort of on the far end of industry 4.0 and on the cusp of industry 5.0. But in India particularly, only about 12 to 16 percent of SMB manufacturers have successfully adopted robotics. So, and as you rightly mentioned, the failure rates are significantly high, over 90%. So let's look at the problem statement in a bit more detail
Yes.
here.
Absolutely, and that number is very staggering. I mean, you can look at like only 12 to 16% of those SMB manufacturers globally they have adopted robotics. Out of those, there are like two or three companies in India. I think one of that is in Gujarat and one is in Pune. Actually, Shruti Engineers. They are doing
Mhm.
that. But then, as compared to US, it's staggeringly low, and we'll go through that data.
Mm,
Uh, in the next few slides. So let's dive into the next slide here.
mm,
All right.
right.
Um, so if you look at the market share of these companies, right, in terms of robotics per 10,000 workers, look at where India is with respect to
Mm.
United States. We are way, I mean, not even like, I would say
Yeah,
close to 5%.
it's a telling number. Seven
Yeah, it's
robots
a
per
staggering
ten
number.
thousand workers.
And if you compare, I mean, we are just comparing India and US here, but you can actually guess where the China and the rest of the world, like Japan and all that, they are ahead of the US in robotics adoption, for sure.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then we have, for India SMBs, there is a long way to go, and there's a really benefit
Even
out
the
there.
global average is close to 130, which is
Correct.
significantly higher. So, you know, when we look at this, I think there are four critical areas where
Mm-hmm.
the issue could be lying. It could be one of those four.
Mm-hmm.
And as we have laid it out here in the slide as well, obviously, there's no one reason for such low adoption rates. It's a lot of factors coming together. But if we are to really look at it as a big picture, there are four key areas that stand out. Technical issues, like integration complexity or unreliable components, even the lack of skill sets. There has to be a whole industry or a whole wave of technology development uh, to reach to a point where businesses are going to adopt it. So there could be technical issues, there are organizational hurdles, there's lack of training, lack of proper skill sets, and sort of an unclear who does what. Once companies decide to adopt some of these techniques, it's difficult to give clear roles to who does what in that. Right? Obviously, high upfront costs at this point, a lack of clear proven track record in terms of ROI,
Mm-hmm.
because not many companies have implemented. There's no standard benchmark on how fast the returns will come and how many or how much. So that's a financial barrier the SMBs face. And then, to top it all, there's cultural resistance. There's employee pushback or a lack of trust, saying that, is this going to take our jobs? Is this going to impact how we are functioning today? What will we need to do in order to adopt it? How will we need to change? So a lot of resistance to change in a way. So I think that summarizes well why companies fail in adopting robotics or automation techniques.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Shantanu, let's not forget the big one, right? The leadership IT shop floor gap.
Hmm.
There's big gap between the leadership IT and the shop floor because the requirements are not understood. There's not leadership is focused on cool tech. IT is deploying solutions that does not fit well with the production floor, and the shop floor is left with their unclear goals. So that
Hmm.
what would be the result? Misalignment and the wasted investments. So
Yeah, I think
uh,
you also have a statistics which shows similar to the robots per 10,000 employees. If you
mm,
look at the adoption statistics, a couple of slides down,
mhm,
again, the rate of failure is significantly higher versus the rate of adoption, which is significantly lower. So you can imagine the gap. People are trying, but then a lot of them are not coming to fruition, which is what then keeps the next wave of adopters away from this new technology. Right?
100%.
So yeah,
Yeah.
let's look at the what's the way forward to really to understand how it works or what works. We need to look at some successful implementations, and you know people who have got it right. The results are actually there to see. SMBs can actually see almost 20 to 150% ROI in the first year itself, and a 1.5 to 4 year payback period. So it's not that although there are high failure rates, the places where it has succeeded, the returns have been very very high and even beyond expectations in most cases. So um,
Agree.
it's a proven technology, not just globally, but even in India, wherever it has worked.
100%. So yeah, I mean, that's huge. Some of those proven technologies, as Shantanu was saying, collaborative robots, or we call it as cobots. They are safe, easy to program, and then they reduce the errors by almost 15%. Uh, AGVs, or you call it autonomous mobile robots, AMRs or AGVs. Though those are great visible material handling, improving throughput by over 30%. And we have seen that in US also. They add significant value, and automate, reduces cycle time, and there's a huge potential, benefit of that. And automating that workflow, and also improve the safety, because we have seen a lot of safety incidences when human is involved. And depending on their workload, and how the humans interact with this environment around, these AGVs and all that, they are very incredibly safe. Then there is a AI vision system, which is perfect for quality control, with up to 50% defect reduction. That's very, and they have a really high accuracy to 98 to 99, which is almost more than 2 sigma deviation. So you can think about
Yes.
that, what would that mean, getting that accuracy on your shop floor. And the last one is digital twins, which everyone is aware in this world, industry 4.0, everyone is talking about digital twin. uh, these allows for risk-free processes, and then validation and optimization. um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll
And
go through that in
as
step by step. Go
correct.
ahead.
And as we have been saying, past two podcasts as well, you don't have to take on everything at once.
Correct.
These technologies by themselves have proven to be working, have proven to be successful wherever they are implemented. It's not that, you have to do all or nothing in this. And, going back to one of the challenges that we earlier spoke about, there is also something we can't ignore. It's robotics as a service. That
Mm-hmm.
that really is a game changer, because it sort of bypasses the big problem. The big elephant in the room is where am I going to get the money or pull the money to implement this. So robotics as a service, which a lot of robotics companies are now offering, it really eliminates the high upfront costs by converting them into sort of EMIs, or predictable monthly expenses. So you don't have to generate that capital upfront. You can use a combination of capex opex model, and convert a lot of that expenditure into a more staggered uh, cash outflow. So robotics as a service is actually gaining a lot of ground, especially in countries like India, where probably the availability of capital could be a challenge.
Hmm. Yeah, good point.
And, yeah.
And
And you
this
have an
is
example here of a success story that they have implemented right in US.
Yes, there is one success story about AA Precision Tooling. That's a company in Minnesota. I visited them, and it's staggering. I mean, they adopted this RAS model. They increased the output by 60%, to reduce scrap and gain new customer. And then, yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating to see within 2 years, they when they adopted this RAS model and went from no robotics to, implementing robotics on the floor. uh,
Mhm.
there that does that improvement does trickle down to your bottom line, and you see a real productivity gain, and reduce defects, as well as reduce safety incidences, which is a big one in US. OSHA, which is like safety organization, they
Mm,
monitor all these safety incidents very well. So
mm,
having, it's a big, it's not only impact to the bottom line, but the adopting to a safer working culture.
absolutely.
So this is
Okay.
the one framework. You want to expand on this, Shantanu? Optimal solution for this is, what you can do, as you were saying, cobots plus modular deployment plus RAS and training. uh,
Yeah, exactly. And again, as I said, you really need to look at it from a perspective of what do I really need or expect
mhm.
out of this whole exercise. It should be needs driven
Correct.
rather than tech driven. Although we are talking about and promoting in a way a lot of technology adoption, but it should not come from I want to do this because I want to implement this technology. It should
Correct.
come from a point where I need this to happen in my company or in my operations, or I need to reach a certain point as in terms of my growth, and that's why I'm looking at these tools. So we have sort of come up with a SMB automation success framework here, which really lays this approach out in a very systematic, disciplined fashion, a structured fashion, and it, as I said, it should arise from what your real need is. So the first step in this framework and in what SMBs should be doing is to really look at their own operations, take a 360-degree view of their operations of their company, and really assess in which areas would this kind of robotics or automation really help them. Align your organizational goals, your vision and mission of the company, uh, or align the implementation to the vision and mission of the company. That's when I think you will get the biggest bang for the buck. Then you go for a plan, look at areas where you can quickly implement these things, use a pilot part of the plant or a pilot process where you can implement some of these advanced techniques, and then from there you can scale and then sustain it through the organization, right? So
Correct.
it's really a simple framework, but when you lay it down this way, it gives a lot of clarity on where should companies begin.
100%. And that's where, if you, as Shantanu say described, phase one is assess and align, is all about clarity. First you identify the production bottleneck, lay out your value chain analysis, look at your workflow, find out the bottlenecks, establish your baseline metrics, then define your measurable success criterias, what that could be. And most importantly, you engage with the shop floor, the team that actually implements this, and you involve them right from the start. You don't want to like just push this thing onto them. You involve them in this process, in this journey.
Right, right, right. And again, I think we have been seeing this statement almost every third sentence or fourth sentence, but start small. There's no need to be overwhelmed by the novelty of the idea, by the newness of the technology, or by the scale of the technology. uh, when you are implementing it, test the solution out on a small scale. Typically a single application or a smaller, relatively independent area of the plant, maybe the packaging line, or anything. It really depends on your what your nature of business is, but identify those applications which can where we can implement this on a smaller scale. That is very critical. Starting small is critical. You could use the robotics as a service business model, or cobots, for example, to keep the risks low, and co-develop the solution with your technology partner. I think that's very important to do as well. Plan and pilot phase.
100%. And yeah, if you look at the phase three, which is scale and sustain, it's also, once the pilot succeeds, you expand strategically, you build your internal capabilities, and continuously optimize using your KPIs. uh, all of these, each successful pilot creates some momentum, and then that actually builds your confidence, and then the ROI for your next project. So it's,
Mm.
think of it as an, flywheel. As Chantun was saying, start small, implement this, get your measurable improvements by using, by measuring through specific KPIs, which we'll touch on in next slides. But then once you see that momentum developing, then you can take on big projects and then go for a big, but always start small. um,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and,
And again, by no means are we saying that all of this is hunky dory. It's not that.
Mhm.
You say it today, you do it tomorrow, and the day after you have the results. It's not that simple. There are risks associated in any sort of project implementation, and robotics or automation is no different. The risks could range from technical failures to, the cultural resistance that we spoke earlier about. There are a range of challenges, but once we have laid them out as clearly as, as what we have probably done here, lay them out, look at the scenarios under which you would face them, and then also think about the mitigation plans upfront. Right? I think that's very
100%.
important too. Yeah.
Yeah, and this lays out. I mean, this is based on the data for all of those SMB manufacturer. But look at like technical and financial; those are your the highest. I mean, those are the critical risk. You can't ignore that,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And then comes for the operational and human safety. That's also high. As I said, this cobots, these robotic solutions have a huge impact on your human safety improvement. So, uh, and also you have to take like design those system considering the human ergonomics and safety in consideration, but then you'll see the lot benefit on that. And then the last one, I think, cyber security and legal. Those are I would say medium to high level criticality. I would, but I would not like if we are starting from scratch. Your
mm.
first things like I will focus on those technical, financial, operations, and human safety first.
Yeah, and of course, cybersecurity is, it features here. It's also, important, especially again from a mentality or a cultural approach point of view. We haven't come from a background where we are very comfortable sharing data
Mhm.
everywhere. Right? So uh, that also needs to be taken into account. But I think with, again, as much as technology has progressed in other areas, it has also progressed as much or even faster in cybersecurity. So uh,
100%.
taking that into account, I think we can surely work out a roadmap which takes cybersecurity into account and makes the whole process very secure.
All right. Moving on to this, I think we touched base on this already, mitigation strategies. Like, how do you mitigate this risk on technical, financial? Technical would be, you can integrate your experienced integrators, have some phase pilots approach, which Shantanu touched on, having some predictive maintenance program using your digital twins or IoTs. Those are being increasingly adopted on the manufacturing floor to predict the failures ahead of the time. Financial risk, yes, RAS model, looking at your government grants and subsidies, that could all be also one of the option. And doing the detailed ROI analysis, I mean, mapping your ROI uh, to a to every department and every function of this robotics adoption process is critical.
Mhm.
Do you want to touch
Okay.
on any other points, Shantanu, on
Now, I
operation?
think you mentioned that the KPIs should necessarily include ROI payback period. How much are we actually gaining out of that? The productivity gains. You could be looking at either a growth, saving on your costs, or saving on, or really pushing up your top line because of productivity or efficiencies that come in your production processes, right? But that should be closely tracked as well. Quality improvement is another area which is a very clear KPI. um,
100%.
Look at your returns, product quality, product returns, look at those KPIs. Eventually all of this should lead to even CSAT, customer satisfaction. That's also sort of an intangible but a very good KPI that companies do track on a regular basis or should track on a regular basis. Right.
100%. All right. So yeah, this is the KPI framework we are thinking, like, how do you measure your robotics project success?
Yeah.
And it can be a benchmark in certain number, like you can expect a ROI of 20 to 150% depending on your use case and your tech. There are several factors, but we are just giving you some ballpark numbers based on what we have
Mm.
seen across the industries in US and India. uh, Payback period something between 1.5 and 4 years. And definitely cost savings are a huge one. Those definitely will, you'll see those impact within that, 1 to 1.5 to 2 years, or more than that a little bit based on your user case. But the 20 to 30% reduction in cost savings, it's huge.
No,
And
absolutely.
your CFO will love this once this is trickled down and this successfully implemented on your shop floor. You will definitely
Yeah, as
see
they
those
say,
numbers.
show me the numbers.
Yeah.
These are the numbers that you can show. And I think a couple of slides down the line, you also have, uh, another interesting KPI, which is the equipment efficiency improvement, the OEE improvement index. So
Yes.
you could really define, and again, it need not be a big, complicated Excel table or some ERP module which is tracking that. You can just decide what are the top 5 or 6 critical KPIs that I need to track, which will define my success, and keep tracking at it on a more regular basis. I think consistency is the key, not just tracking it once a year when it is asked by senior leadership that show me what have you done. It's not that. Do it on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. Have some discipline and consistency behind that.
Yep.
So I think like you can move on to the success stories here.
Yep.
That should.
I will touch base on those. Yeah, these are some of the success stories. One famous example is Geonet in Netherlands. That's a very
Mhm.
well known now company. They are a high mix manufacturer using ABB. They have some these Yumi cobots. That's what they call,
Mhm.
for applying those glue on the assembly line. They did see a lot, result was really staggering. 3,000 parts per day capacity. Originally, it was little less than 500. Uh,
Okay.
Now they've significantly expanded their capacity. Uh, the other one is AA Precision Tooling, which we talked about earlier in this podcast.
Right.
That's a firm in Minnesota. Yeah, 60% output, reduce scrap. Yeah, it's
Mm.
staggering. And then you can see the
It's a
Indian
good mix
SMBs.
of examples here, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think, and again, the KPIs that we spoke about, they are specifically tracking those. They are seeing increased productivity, competitiveness through these programs, and I think now with they are also being supported largely by the government bodies. So in most cases now, you'll actually see that the government has policies and they are trying to push the SMBs towards more adoption through some of these policies and um, giveaways, really subsidies, etc. So I think now is the right time to go for it. Eventually.
100%. And let me start. So these are the key success pattern. What winners do differently than rest of the companies. Like 10%, we saw that only 10%
Mm,
succeeding, 90% failure rate. So what does those top 10% do? They first,
mm,
they do the right technology choices, which are technology which is flexible, scalable, which is in modular development, because you don't want to um, corner yourself with only fixed solutions where it
mm,
that technology will only work for certain variation. But for if the your shop floor demands for more product variations, more customized products, then these solutions may not work, and then you will end up saying, oh, what why why did I invest so much money in this? That's why you need some foresights. Like modular deployments solves those problem. uh,
mm.
Digital twins also, on the other hand, they are proven solutions and they can offer a risk-free validation.
Right. and you follow the SASF framework rigorously.
Correct.
Assess, pilot, scale. You do that for every new technology adoption, and uh, it just reduces the chances of failure. Um, there's no perfect way in this world, but you have to increase the probabilities of success as much as you can. And if you are going after it in such a structured fashion, then the probability of success is going to be exponentially higher. Right? Maximize ROI, minimize risks.
100%. So these are all the top three critical recommendation from a strategic standpoint, we would say.
Yeah.
You want to touch base on that, Shantanu?
Yeah. So as again we have been saying, start with problem first. What do you really need to achieve
Mhm.
from implementing these newer technologies, and then go for the best choice out of the four or five that we also listed out earlier.
Mhm.
I think you like to use this term, Aniket, the shiny object syndrome. Because it's
Yeah,
shining, you go after that, but that's not how you should be doing about it, going about it.
100%.
Yeah.
And the last one, like, do not like always make sure you measure the full impact with the balance scorecard. And I think we have already given you the framework, like what are the key KPIs, like, as Shantanu was saying, OEE, operational equipment effectiveness, and then there is mean time failure. All those, there are KPIs that you can actually measure uh, to uh, to validate your success for this robotics implementation.
Yeah.
And the last one, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that we are really towards the end of the podcast, but as we have been saying, it's no there's no option going forward. I think the number of options by which you can overcome the challenges that you are facing and really develop or grow into a sustainable business, the number of options are really becoming very narrow. And
Hmm.
what is converging, the overall industry is converging on, is the use of these tools and techniques. So it's not a question of if they will adopt robotics. It's about how will they adopt the robotics. And there's a large room, as we saw in those statistics, there's a large room for improvement. Any small step that they take towards it is only going to be beneficial. And taking small steps is the key, really, to make sure that you are building the success block by block, bottoms up, and not just coming at it top down. So take that strategic approach we have been talking about. I think the there are a host of technologies that one can adopt, from cobots to RAS. Go for that. Go for modular development of those. Implement our framework, the SASF framework that we spoke about. And as I said, there's a large potential for everyone to grow. So go for it. Yeah. What do you think, Aniket?
Very well said, Shantanu. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think, and also finally, we don't want to underestimate the human side of automation. Early
Hmm.
engagement, training, and building internal champions. It is must, and they are just as important as the technology itself. So don't forget about that. Have your training plan ahead of the time. Involve your stakeholders early from the beginning, or start from the the project kickoff. That would give you a smoother implementation than fighting the internal battle. So that's all we
Always.
have. Any final notes, Shantanu, where the viewers can find you, uh, and then we can sign off. We are almost about the top an hour now.
Yeah, and we'll leave our uh, coordinates along with this presentation and
Hmm.
the link to the recording as well. But feel free to reach out to any of us, both of us, even with questions, comments about this podcast, or any new topic, a different topic that you might want us to discuss about, focus on in our upcoming podcast series. So feel free to share, subscribe, like this content as well. And yeah, we want to have a conversation here. So we are sitting at the table with our coffee in our hand. Do join us on the table then.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Talk to you
Yes,
soon.
thank you
And
for
thanks
tuning
for
in.
joining. And yeah, keep liking and subscribing to this. Or if you have any suggestions, please do comment on our post, LinkedIn post or YouTube posts. We definitely want to hear from you. What kind of topics you would like to hear from us, and what are the problem statements and all that. We would love to dive in and present you those cases. Right now, signing off. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.